Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Artist. This is the Dr. Artist Show. I hope you had a great week. I hope you're going to have a great week coming up. I hope you're having some exciting opportunities with family and friends in your planning for the holidays that are coming up. I hope you're setting aside time there. Remember, for the last 4 years, they try to keep us apart. So y'all better find ways, I don't care where it is, to get together and celebrate life. Do not worry about shedding. Let that crap go. We've actually educated everybody around the world how to keep themselves safe and healthy as possible to actually offset their engineered biological weapons. And if you didn't take advantage of Healing for the Ages, go to healingfortheages.com. Use my last name, Artist. It'll save you $50 off of the post-production of all the video content, PowerPoint presentations, and the 14-day action plan workbook, along with our resources page. That is an addition to what everybody got originally when they attended the conference. Stay tuned. Right after these messages, we're going to have a very exciting, very humorous conversation about diabetes and diabetic retinopathy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back from the break. I'm Dr. Artist. This is the Dr. Artist Show, and we are so excited to have today in studio, which is now in my house, the incredible Dr. Seema Nanda, who went around all the Puerto Rican islands or at least one island. Puerto Rico. Went all around. It was a long day.
It was a long adventure.
There's a lot of stops, but it was a lot of fun and a lot of laughter on those trips to and from all the venues in Puerto Rico. And then, of course, all over the United States. It appears we've been all over the place the last year. All right. So we're excited to have her in-house. She's an optometrist. She's going to be educating us on diabetes, the impact of diabetes on eye health. We're also going to focus on diabetic retinopathy. Why? Because this happens to be Diabetic Retinopathy Awareness Month. So for me, they've already put together a calendar of topics for me to destroy the narrative on. So this is what we do here at the Dr. Artist Show: destroy what it is you're being told by the medical mainstream media and what it is that actual truth and nature provides to heal and cure yourself of these issues. All right, today's sponsors are going to be the NorthTexasHealingCenter.com. Call them at 214-705-9369. They'll help you find a pathway back to healing. NorthTexasHealingCenter.com. Also, we have MyPillow.com, Mike Lindell's own MyPillow. Look, it is holiday time, consumerism celebration time for these holidays. If you're going to be purchasing anything for your home, consider MyPillow.com and use the promo code DOCTOR, discount code DOCTOR, DOCTOR at checkout. It'll provide additional savings to whatever you've already selected for your home or other people you love. And then also BrighteonStore.com. We're very proud of Mike Adams and all of his work and efforts to make sure there's an uncensored platform for a lot of us. So go to BrighteonStore.com, use the discount code DOCTOR, DOCTOR. It'll provide additional 5% off anything you're purchasing there. In the wake of them trying to destroy all of our supply chain of food, destroy our monetary reserves and savings, go to BrighteonStore.com and learn how to take back your own health. And then also we've got GraithCare.com. Use the AAA option. That's me. Artist Advocacy Advice is what AAA stands for. If you want my help and my guidance of what I would do the first 3 to 6 months to recovering your health, go to GraithCare.com. Use my last name, Artist. That'll take 10% off of any membership and advocacy help. Remember, if you have a loved one in the hospital, that's what they do. They help that. If you have prescription drugs or a loved one that's on prescription drugs and wants to see if they can live a prescription drug-free life, that's what GraithCare.com is there for. So let Priscilla Romans and the group there help you. All right, let's welcome in studio Dr. Seema Nanda. Say hi, girl.
Hi, girl. I'm so excited to be here. We had a great time, like you said, in Puerto Rico, and we got to be great buddies. And even I miss Lady Jane. Is she around today?
She will be around later.
Oh,
she's
lovely.
Visiting with her mom because we're going out of town again, obviously, in the next couple hours. So
trying to make a difference.
She has to spend time with her mama. Hopefully be able to see a few of the grandkids before we leave.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. So, well, I thank you again for allowing me to share my thoughts and wisdom with your audience. And hopefully we can shed some light and open their eyes.
Amen to that.
I know. It's a lot.
Dr. Nanda rhymes with panda. That's what she told me to say.
No, I didn't tell him to say.
Yes,
I just to remember it.
To remember Panda Nanda.
But the problem is my patients and I'm going, Dr. Panda. I'm like, no, Nanda. But it's mandatory that you remember it.
Yeah. Now you are not new to this program.
No.
This is your second time at least on my show.
Second rodeo.
First time in my studio at my house that we built over the last few months when the studio went bankrupt. I wonder if that had anything to do with the censored material we were creating for millions of people around the world. Who knows?
Wow.
All right. So lots of people have shown up and benefited from your efforts in clinical practice as an eye doctor, which is phenomenal. You're also a professor at the University of Houston. I've heard the rumor. So she is by nature an educator and a speaker, which is going to be great. This makes it easy for a podcast studio for you to articulate information. All right. So number one, I would like you to educate the audiences. Today, we're going to be discussing diabetes and diabetic retinopathy. And I'd like to first have you discuss, is diabetes an issue that an eye doctor sees directly implicated inside of issues with the eyes of your patients?
There are so many implications. Okay, so eyes are the windows to the soul. I do windows.
Yay, you're a window treatment.
Yes. So when we look in, think about it. The eyes are the only body part that you can look in without having to cut into somebody. You can see the vessels, you can see the nerve, you can see everything. So it gives us a peek into what's happening to the rest of the body. And a lot of people don't even realize that. And it's like, do I have to get my eyes dilated? I'm like, it's like going to the OB-GYN and say, no, keep your legs crossed. We're going to look in. Yeah, I got to look in. But that's another joke because there is an OB-GYN with the name Dr. Nanda as well in Houston. Oh. And so when they were calling, I'm like, wrong dilation. Sorry. They're like, what? Okay. So anyway, yeah, I know. True story. Okay. So what is diabetes? What does it do? Okay. Obviously there's
What are you going to see in the eye? What do people report as issues before you look in there?
So a lot of the times they don't notice anything. Okay. Because it depends on where it is on the eye. In other words,
give us some examples.
Lots of examples. Okay. So one of the first things, okay, if they have an issue, there's something they're saying, I can't see. Okay. I used to be able to see far away. And now all I can do is see up close. It's great because now I can read or I can look at my iPad, but I can't see anything far away. That's called a myopic shift. Okay. So what happens, the sugar collects. Well, let me explain what sugar does in the body anyway. Okay. So like you have your iced tea. Now I'm going to switch accents because that's what I do. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you're a Southern Belle out in Georgia and you're drinking a sip of cool iced tea on a hot summer day, you put 1 or 2 teaspoons of sugar in there and that's okay. That's what you need. 1 or 2 teaspoons of sugar in the body, it's all right. But it's when you put in like a cup or 2 cups of sugar, all of a sudden there's too much sugar in the body. So that's when they say, I got the sugars. That's what's happening. So you got too much sugar in the body. And all of a sudden, remember that tea, which is supposed to be nice and clear and cool? Well, it's like thick and syrupy and goopy. Now, if it's thick and syrupy and goopy, now the only way you get oxygen to your body, anywhere in the body, is through the blood, right? So if your red blood cells are swimming in all this sugar, you think you're going to get oxygen anywhere? Now, the smallest vessels, I'm going to switch back to English, right? Is that right?
Great job.
So the smallest vessels in the body are in your eyes and in your toes. And I ain't checking anyone's toe jam. Not happening.
Me neither.
But if you look in the eyes, you can see because they are the smallest vessels, those are the ones that are going to be depleted of oxygen first. So what happens because of this thick, syrupy, goopy thick blood? What happens is it's trying to I'm breathing here. I'm going to like Godfather. I can't breathe. It's a little bit hard. So what happens is it starts growing fragile blood vessels all the way around the eye, trying to increase the oxygen. So it starts growing blood vessels that shouldn't be there. God knows how many blood vessels are supposed to be here. Literally, God knows. Okay. When you add extra ones, it's not the right construction. So if it's not the right construction, what happens because it's fragile? What happens when you build a flimsy house on a bad foundation? One tornado, one wind gust, and it knocks the whole thing off versus a house that's built solid on bricks and everything like that. So it has the bricks, the mortar, everything. That's God's creation. That's the blood vessels that you're made with. When these other blood vessels start showing up, it's like the fly-by-night, we'll make your house in 2 minutes. We'll make these blood vessels in 2 minutes. And so what happens is the blood vessels break. They are fragile, and those breakages in those blood vessels are called hemorrhages. So these hemorrhages that are on the back of the eye, because the front of the eye is the cornea, the back of the eye is the retina. Oh, this is what we learned last time. The retina. Remember that? Okay, so the retina is the back of the eye, and those blood vessels, which again, offshoot from the heart. So you've got, the big boom, 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 boom. And the heart is having a harder time pumping. So it's getting tired because it's trying to pour through this sludge. So that's why heart attacks actually happen with those patients who have diabetes.
Is that why so many Americans are baby aspirin deficient? Is that why they put so many people older than 40
They put them on those platelet.
Baby aspirins?
Yeah, the platelet, the blood thinners. Why don't you fix the problem,
Amen.
which is the sugar? Forget about, thinning the blood. So you got this clogged artery, basically. So you got this highway of cars, and then all of a sudden goes from 5 lanes to 2 lanes. Well, that's what this clogged artery is. This thickening of the sugar in the blood is making it harder for the blood to pass. So what do? They thin it out with, like you said, aspirin. And aspirin does not fix the sugar in the blood at all. So when we're looking at, like I said, the hemorrhages, so the back of the eye starts having these hemorrhages, the offshoot of the internal carotid goes to the ophthalmic artery, and then you have these little retinal vessels, and those are bifurcations, the branch retinal vessels.
Did you hear that? That was like 5 medical terminologies, mostly Latin, that none of y'all know. So I'm going to show y'all something. Ready?
Okay, great.
So just sit there, because now I'm going to show you what she's saying. Ready?
Diabetic eye disease can cause severe vision loss or even blindness. Diabetic retinopathy is the most common diabetic eye disease and is a leading cause of blindness in persons with diabetes.
It is.
It is caused by changes in the blood vessels of the retina. The retina is the light-sensitive tissue at the back of the eye. A healthy retina is necessary for good vision. In some people with diabetic retinopathy, blood vessels of the retina may swell and leak fluid or blood. In other people with diabetes, abnormal new blood vessels grow on the surface of the retina. At first, diabetic retinopathy may not cause any changes in vision, but over time, diabetic retinopathy can get worse. At first, a person might see spots floating in their vision, or may notice a general blurring of vision. Eventually, diabetic retinopathy may cause vision loss and even blindness.
All right. So I wanted y'all to see what it is she was just talking about. She was talking about the hemorrhaging, right?
Right.
You just saw the leaking. I love it when they say out of the blood, they could leak fluids.
Or
maybe blood.
Oh my goodness.
Like fluids in the blood vessels. Really?
No,
Okay.
it's just, it's
there's blood in the blood vessels.
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe red blood cells. They're popping all over the place.
Yeah, and then when you just said you can also, the body will start growing new blood vessels because it's
to
too
compensate.
Thick, to compensate.
I
was like, oh my God, I just watched a video. They were showing that.
Exactly.
Now we know why.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. So when these blood vessels start to pop and drop, Anyway, it's not a good thing. And so when the hemorrhages are way out on the side, the patient might not notice it. However, this is when it gets scary. There are 10 layers to the retina, by the way.
What?
10 layers. 10 layers.
I only knew of one.
No.
How about you guys?
10 layers to the retina. There's 5 layers to the cornea. So 10 layers to the retina. And when we can see there's blood vessels coursing through.
So our retinas are like ogres. They have layers.
Oh, they're onions. Yes, they have layers. So you do my Shrek accent.
Yeah,
It's a bit Scottish. That's Shrek.
Scottish.
Shrek is a Scottish accent, if you knew that. Anyway, it's like, it's onion. We have layers. Okay, so the retina has layers. So when we have all these layers to the retina, you can have different layers of hemorrhaging. So when the hemorrhaging occurs into a deeper layer versus a superficial layer, then what happens if it cuts into the center of the vision, you can have a big red spot in your vision. And the patient says, I see red everywhere. And I'm like, you have a deep, it's called a boat heme. It looks like a boat, literally, in the back of the eye. And it's the shape of a boat. I had one patient whose blood was right in the center, and then it was reabsorbing, because that's what the body does. It tries to heal itself, especially if you change your diet, which I'm going to go through the ABCs in the second part. Anyway, so once the body starts to reabsorb itself, I could probably share that with you. It's shaped into a heart.
Wow,
it was very cute. I love that.
That's awesome.
But that was God trying to heal the eye. So
amen to that.
Amen. Oh, anyway.
Right, so what are the people complaining about? I need to know what they complain about with eye issues and their diabetics.
Okay. So like 33% of the population who has diabetes ends up with a retinopathy. 33%. That's very cabal.
It's a very ugly number.
It's a very
Let's say 32.
Yeah. Well, anyway, 37 million people actually have diabetes. That's 1 in 10 of the population has diabetes.
Diabetes or diabetic retinopathy?
No, diabetes.
Just diabetes.
Yeah. Okay. And 33% of those have diabetic retinopathy. That's a lot of people, diabetic retinopathy. Anyway, so it tells you everybody's eating packaged items, all the things that contain something to preserve the food. And that's usually sugar or salt. But most of I can taste sugar in ketchup now. I don't even take ketchup now because I can taste the sugar. I don't have sugar in anything that I eat or do, and I don't eat a packaged item. And if you want to save yourself, you would not do that either. So what's the other thing I told you about? The myopic shift, because what happens is the sugar's in the blood, okay, and it leaks everywhere, okay, and then it gets into the lens of the eye and it fills up. And you want to talk about layers? Actually, we describe the lens, the crystalline lens inside the eye, behind the iris, which is the colored part of the eye. It does the focusing. It focuses in and out, allows you to see far and then near. When your body is so full of sugar, it doesn't have anywhere to go. So it spills over inside into the lens. And that is called sorbitol, sorbitol. And once it fills up that lens, all of a sudden it becomes fat and myopic. So all of a sudden you can't see far away. You can see, and I shouldn't say all of a sudden, it is timed. As your sugar spills over into different body parts, because I told you the first thing is the eyes, then it goes to the retina, the toes, and then it fills up everywhere else. So you could have pre-diabetes, meaning the sugar is overwhelming your system, but when you check your hemoglobin A1C, which is your glycosylated hemoglobin, which in English means we have sugar in our blood, on our blood cells, but to a lower number. When it goes over to a higher number, they say unlucky number 7, right? If your glycosylated hemoglobin or hemoglobin A1C ends up being over 7, then you say, oh, you're no longer pre-diabetic, you are diabetic. And those are just numbers that don't make any sense to you. But what does make sense to you is you feel like this. I need some water here. Okay. So you'll need water. You get thirsty. Then you're always running to the bathroom. That means your kidneys are overdoing it. It's like trying to process all the sugar. It can't because it's overfilled in the body and you're running to the bathroom. So your polyphagia, polydipsia, and whatever it was, bathroom. Anyway, so polyuria. So it's meaning I feel thirsty all the time. I feel hungry all the time. And I feel like I have to go to the bathroom all the time. Those are your first clinical symptoms of diabetes. Now, when you start getting bigger and you're like, it's not even Thanksgiving dinner and you're kind of releasing your belt because you're like, I feel really big after that pumpkin pie. By the way, pumpkin is good for you, but the pie part is not. Anyway, so when you see all those things, you're like, what else can happen to you? What else can happen to you? Okay, so that's the lens. And I said about the retina. What about the eyes? Can you get dry eyes from diabetes? Ask me. Come on.
Can I get dry eyes from pumpkin pie?
Possible. The sugar part. So yes. So in the tears in front of the cornea, they're actually insulin in the tears and it regulates. So if you have a higher amount of sugar in the body and it's in the tears, it actually causes destruction of the glands behind the eyelashes, which are called the meibomian glands. I know, big words. Think of sebum on the skin, meibum on the eyes. The lids have meibum. And those areas, the cells that carry the meibum become atrophied. It's shrinking. They're atrophying. They're dying off because the sugar in the body is killing the glands. And then you end up with dry eyes. And there's a higher incidence of patients ends up with those styes on the eyes or chalazions. That's the fancy word name for it. Chlazion, chalazion or hordeolum. These are the styes. And you feel this big bump that's starting like, oh my gosh, my eye's bothering you. I'm like, okay, do you have diabetes? What does that have to do with anything? Because all of a sudden the insulin resistance is happening in the tears and the eyes and everything else. So that's just the front of the eye. I said about the lens, and then I said about the retina. And the retina, like I said, there's different things. But what about in between all that? Between the lens and the retina is this big space called the vitreous. And I think we discussed that a little bit before, right?
Yeah, because it's humorous.
Right. So we have the aqueous humor and the vitreous humor. And which one's funnier? You decide. Okay, it's the Reese's versus the peanut butter or the chocolate. I go for chocolate.
Maybe.
Anyway, the vitreous can fill up. So once those blood vessels overspill like Niagara Falls, just vomiting out sugar everywhere because it just doesn't have any place to go. And this is a closed space. So what happens is the blood will leak from the blood vessels and can fill up the vitreous. And you can have...
That sounds like glaucoma.
It can cause glaucoma. That's a secondary glaucoma. Oh, you're brilliant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you clog up the drainage hole, which is what glaucoma does, and you're filling it up with blood, then all of a sudden everything goes dark. And the patient's like, I can't see.
Is the humor supposed to be filled with blood?
No,
What's this supposed to be filled with?
It's a gelatinous clear substance. And sometimes as we age, that gelatinous clear substance kind of starts pulling, and instead of being thick like Jello, remember last time Jello? Everyone loves Jello. Instead of being thick like Jello, it becomes liquidy. And when it comes liquidy as we age, you start to see little spots in your vision, and those are floaters. Floaters are benign, but blood, not good. And when that fills up, it's like an 8-ball. They even call it like that, an 8-ball hyphema, the blood in the eye when it fills up. Now, what about the colored part of the eye? Is that safe too? Do you think something can get onto that?
Onto your iris?
Mm-hmm.
Do I think something can get on there?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
Good answer. Yeah. So when the diabetes,
that was a guess.
That was a good guess. Very good. He gets an A+ for guessing. A for artist. A for artist. All right. So now what happens when the front of the eye, with the colored part of the eye, when the blood vessels is tired in the back and you're like, look, we've already overstayed our welcome. No, they're going to stay. They're squatting. Okay. They're taking over all the apartment space, everything, all the landscape in the back of the eye is filled. So it goes forward. And it can go to the front part where the iris is, or the colored part of the eyes, and blood vessels will start to grow there. And that's called iris neo, meaning new, vascularization. So iris neovascularization. So it's called NVI, neovascularization of the iris. In the back of the eye, it's called, there's two things, neovascularization elsewhere and neovascularization at the disc. So it's NVD, NVE, and NVI. That's easier than writing neovascularization on a chart. It takes forever. My hand hurts. Well,
that's a great explanation. Now, before we go to commercial break here in a second, I'm going to actually show the audiences and you, we're going to review what the World Health Organization is publishing are going to be the expected outcomes for diabetes and diabetic retinopathy between now and the year 2050. You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look. And then in the next segment, after our commercial break, we're going to get into solutions, dietary solutions, what it is you see as a doctor that is concerning you in the current state of affairs of the world, and what our audiences need to know about their eye health, where they can find you, where they can find those solutions, because that's what we're all about. All right, so let me just share with the audiences here this. All right, so this is the global prevalence by the American Academy of Ophthalmology. They published recently what's the global prevalence of diabetic retinopathy and their projection through the year 2045. All right, so in their results, they include, I'm going to highlight it here for everybody can follow along. We included 59 population-based studies among individuals with diabetes. Global prevalence was 22%. Now we're going to keep going. In 2020, the number of adults worldwide with diabetic retinopathy, which is abbreviated DR, was estimated to be 103.12 million people. 103.2 million worldwide. Holy cow. By the year 2045, the numbers are projected to increase to 160 million people.
Not 166?
Nope. 160.5 million. Diabetic retinopathy, they say prevalence was highest in Africa and North America and the Caribbean, and was lowest in South and Central America. All right, so just so y'all know, this is a big deal. They say in the discussion, the global diabetic retinopathy burden is expected to remain very high through 2045. Disproportionately affecting countries in the Middle East and North Africa and the Western Pacific. Why did they all of a sudden forget about North America? I don't know. But I just want you guys to set the stage for you guys. This is a big deal. Diabetes continues to be a big deal. And did y'all see this? Let me see if I can pull this up. Have y'all seen, oh, this is the same document, but have y'all seen that the WHO just published that they expect, let's see if I can find the link here actually while I've got this up. Have you seen that the World Health Organization just published that they expect diabetes by the year? There it is. I think it is. Look at this. New estimates indicate that more than 1.3 billion people could be living with diabetes by the year 2050. Okay, this is the International Diabetes Federation. Now, this is a huge deal because right now there's only 500 million in the whole world. This means there's going to be 2.5 times the amount of diabetes they expect since the pandemic started. They took all these numbers based on the exponential growth of diabetes in the last 4 years during COVID.
Because they're causing it.
They know how to cause it. We've discussed this many times. They know what they can, what they have introduced to the world, global envenomation, and how they target nicotine receptors, these venoms, these spike proteins, and they actually shut off the beta cells in the pancreas's ability to produce insulin. So this is how they know they're doing this. This is why this is so important as a topic. Diabetes affects more than just the eyes, but I've got one of the coolest teachers, I think, in the eye sphere who can correlate and educate our audiences on the impacts of diabetes and our eye health. All right. So many people worldwide are going to struggle with diabetes. They're going to have more weight loss, more overweight, higher BMIs, more diabetes, higher A1C diagnosis and lab results over the next 27 years they expect than ever in the history of human beings. Mm-hmm. So the diabetes code, the obesity code by Dr. Fung out of Canada, those books everybody should own. Anybody who's getting overweight and having issues with blood sugar, you can learn how to reverse your diabetes that way. For those of you who have loved ones with diabetes, it's being managed or unable to be managed, this is where you want to share this broadcast with them and get them to Dr. Seema Nanda in her office down in Houston. All right, we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the Dr. Ardis Show. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Ardis. We hope you enjoyed the first segment with our multi-talented optometrist, Dr. Seema Nanda, as she puts up her hair looking yeah, there you go. All right, so we're going to continue this conversation, and she's got a ton of information to help you at home know how to better manage diabetes, improve, prevent, cure, reverse the issues that are particularly affecting the eyes in relationship to blood sugar, mismanagement, inability to handle it, and the intentional, efforts to destroy our physiology that God created. And men are doing a good job of doing that. All right. So this segment's being brought to you by Kirk Elliott, PhD. Go to kirkelliottphd.com/artists or let them know Dr. Ardis sent you. You get a free consult as the world's trying to destroy all of your savings in this debt-lusting American country of ours. You might as well learn how to save and preserve your finances, set up your estates. Go to kirkelliottphd.com. He can help you. He helped us. He can help you. And then also we have Hydro Shot. Actually, I brought it up here with me. I already drank it this morning. Hydro Shot. Every day, every morning, I drink Hydro Shot, which is from h2bev.com. You can use the discount code ARDIS, ARDIS. It'll save 10% off. Or you can try, if that didn't work, use the word doctor. It should give you 10% off there too. This is nitric oxide infused with hydrogen drink, and it gives me 8 hours of energy every single day just by increasing nitric oxide levels. And just so you know, Judy Mikovits did a great presentation this weekend on nitric oxide, unrelated to anything I do every day, which is this product. And she just sent me a paper this morning on how it reverses and improves blood flow in the cerebral part of the body, which is the brain. So to prevent strokes, heart attacks, all that stuff, you want to make sure you have healthy levels of nitric oxide. h2bev.com is where you can get Hydro Shot, which is what I do every day. Thank you, Kurt Ruttman. Done a great job. And he's inventing and creating and doing clinical trials right now on other products that are hydrogen focused. So very excited. All right. And then we have next growmaxwaterhydro.com. Go there if you're growing a garden, have flowers in your flower beds, and you want healthy plants. You want to filter out the chlorine, fluoride, glyphosate, you name it, venoms in your water. Go to growmaxwaterhydro.com. Get their filters. I use them. Use my last name, Ardis, for a 10% off discount. And also Dr. Ardis Show and Ardis Labs. I'll make them the final sponsor for this segment. Foreign Protein Cleanse. What a phenomenal product. If you don't have it, go get it. Go to thedrdardisshow.com and purchase Foreign Protein Cleanse before we sell out. So we've already sold out twice in the last month. So go get it. We have some in stock. And everybody should be taking at least 1 ml, if not twice every day, if you're struggling with injuries, shedding, got the vaccines, didn't get the vaccines, have long hauler COVID, or want to prevent future viruses of any kind. Foreign Protein Cleanse is why I developed that. All right. Seema Nanda, let's bring you back in.
I'm being reeled in.
Now, while she drove here from Houston, she came up with this incredible idea. Why? Because she's a creative professor of students of all ages, and she's got to come up with creative ways to get them to remember stuff she's researching and applying to her patients in clinic. All right. So what did you come up with?
Well, as an edutainer, though.
And she entertains.
Yeah, no, educate through entertainment. So I was driving over here, my beautiful 4-hour drive. I'm actually here for an eye conference called ICON, literally ICON, EYECON. Anyway, so I have that lecture to give tomorrow. But as I was driving here, I'm thinking, how can I make this memorable? And the reason why I say that is because when I teach doctors, sometimes once you've taken the class, you kind of forget about it afterward, right? That's most of us. And you're like, I remember it for about 2 days. Well, I drove over here and I thought, how can I explain the ABCs of treating diabetes? So that's how I rhymed it. So ABCs of treating diabetes. Okay. So
she's good.
So I just started talking to myself in a good way. And I thought, I don't think I can do 26 different accents, but I can do a few in between. So I'm going to start with the A, the letter A, and how you can, instead of being addicted A, to medicines, why don't we have food as medicine? And if you eat the right foods, you don't ever have to take a pill, a shot, an injection, a venom of Gila monster poison.
If I could drop this mic, I would.
Boom.
Great mic drop.
So if we can just start with the letter A, one thing we easily can have is avocado. Especially being in Texas, we get avocados all the time. It actually has a protein, avocatin, Tin, right? That actually helps. I keep saying actually because I'm still blown away, which actually helps decreasing your lousy LDL, lousy density lipoprotein, which is one of the bad triglycerides or glycerides in the body, and increasing your happy HDL. And it actually does that, and it balances the body so you don't have to have, and everyone says, okay, well, if you have fats are bad. No, they're good fats and they're bad fats. You want to say something? I can tell it. I can see it.
Yeah. Can they just eat guacamole? Because
holy guacamole. Yes, definitely. Because guacamole that goes to L. And I'll tell you that in a second. L is for limes because we need the vitamin C. And vitamin C also helps decrease tumorigenesis, which is
G guacamole?
No.
Oh, what a letdown.
But we could put that in there just for you. So okay, A for avocado, as well as apple cider vinegar. Now you think apple, that's sugar. When they ferment down the apple, it's only like 1 gram of sugar in there, and it's pretty pungent. So it's like acetic acid, and acetic acid is very good. It's vinegar. And so you don't want to drink the whole thing. You just put 2 teaspoons in your water, 8-ounce glass of water while you're drinking with your meal. And that will actually slow down the sugar getting stuck outside the body, because it'll help the insulin pull out that sugar so you won't be so insulin resistant.
Are we still at A?
We're still at A.
Okay. Well, you got 13 minutes left to get through Z. Okay.
Okay. It's not that far.
Okay.
B. No, I'm serious. B for berry. So B for berries, strawberries, blueberries, cranberries. They have anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are good. Anything that causes a color. So any colored fruits and vegetables are A-okay with me. So B for berries. And that includes C for cranberry, right? As well as something that you would want in high in fiber, which would be chia. Do you remember chia?
I do. Chia pets.
Chia pets. Okay. Well, go ahead.
I remember chia pets.
So instead of putting it on, but you could eat the actual flowering stuff. Nobody did. And we just make the head of, like, what's that artist from PBS? Bob something.
His name is Bob Ross.
See, you can make a Bob Ross chia pet and then actually eat the seeds from it. Chia is high in fiber, which will make you which will fill you up, and it's actually good for you, high in antioxidants. D for date palm sugar. Instead of having refined sugar, you can have date palm sugar, which is a natural sugar, which is what we have in all our Indian desserts, right? Instead of refined sugar, we have date palm sugar, which is very, very good. There's my Indian accent. I knew I was going to put it in somewhere.
Where do you get date palm sugar?
You can get it anywhere. Actually, I hate to say the other A word, Amazon. Anyway, so you can get it there. You can get it anywhere. Grocery stores have it. Indian grocery stores have it. It's found everywhere, and you don't have to search for it. So E, this is the best part. Eggs are good for you. They're very good, and you should be having 1 egg a day. Why? Eggs contain, and this is going to be coincident with saving yourselves from any other viral protein molecule that shouldn't be in the body, because it also contains choline. So choline receptors will be binding with these eggs, and you can have 6 to 12 eggs in a week, and it's okay. And it also, the study showed in 2019 that it actually lowers bad cholesterol. What you've been told is wrong. Eggs are good, and God made eggs. So don't make this egg white omelet. You need the yolk. The yolk neutralizes the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Just saying.
Are you saying we've been lied to?
I'm saying there's a lot of fibbing going on. Okay. Anyway, E for eggs, and F for fish, especially fatty fish. We want voluptuous fish. We want more fish with fat on there. Those omega-3 fats are good for the body. They're actually good for the eyes. You have clogged glands, it'll open them up. It has things called, and I don't want to bewilder everyone, but the GLA and DGLA breaks down the body for docosahexaenoic acid and icosapentaenoic acid. I know, big words.
Now she's just making up stuff.
Making up big words. They're 13-letter long words. They're evil. But anyway, so all those things are actually anti-inflammatory to the body. It decreases inflammation in the joints. So if you've got arthritic conditions, psoriatic conditions, it decreases inflammation in the entire body. So fish is good. So fatty fish. G, not for
guacamole,
but can be.
Okay.
Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is delicious. It's high in protein. It's less in sugar, and it also allows the body to absorb. And you should be eating Greek yogurt every single day.
What makes it Greek?
Because they take away the all the sugar and the water in it. I don't know why.
Greeks don't like sugar and water
because they're naturally sweet. Anyway, but you can make it something else. So G could be also for garlic because garlic is good for that. But I'm going to save that for H. All right, so. H is for honey. Now you say, honey, wait, that's sugar. Why would you take sugar if you have diabetes? Now, everything in moderation, you don't have to have too much. But actually, honey, which we all know from our lovely beekeeper,
Jana Schmidt.
Dr. Schmidt, exactly. Honey is a natural anti-immune response to the environment, and you should get local honey. So if you're living in Texas and you're getting honey in Idaho, it's bees from Idaho's, the flowers from there. It's not going to help you. You need to help your immune response here in the state that you're in. So get local honey, most specifically to the region that you're in because of flowers in the environment, and it'll decrease your allergies too. So that's also a plus. The other thing is there's a way you can make your immune system even stronger by G and H by adding garlic. Cloves of garlic into the honey, let it ferment for 3 months, and you've got your own medicine there. And that's an autoimmune medicine. Just let it do it. And I always cycle mine through, and I just take it with my tea.
And you have done this for years?
Mm-hmm.
Like put garlic clove inside of honey
and let it ferment for 3 months. This is all Ayurvedic. Everything I'm telling you is going on.
I've never heard this before. I love it.
Hundreds of years, centuries. This has been going on you'll never see anyone in India with Alzheimer's. It doesn't exist because we have all these natural spices and things in our food. We just eat what God gives us.
So
right?
What does the garlic do to the honey? How does it taste after 3 months?
So it's a stronger honey. It's a more potent, but it's not, you can eat the garlic, but I don't. I chop it up and then I'll put it in food because it's too strong. But I'll just put 2 spoons of it in and make it like a hot tea. That's what I will do. And you can have G for green tea because green tea contains ECGC, which it's epicatechin, so just say catechins, which are also very good. 4 ounces of green tea every day. They use that for patients with cancer. It kills cancer cells. Just saying. Green tea and white tea, not fermented like black tea. All right. So that's G, H, and I. So I is for iceberg lettuce. Iceberg? Well, why does it have to be iceberg? It doesn't. It's just I. That's all I can remember. So iceberg lettuce, green leafy vegetables are your friend. Those are the things that are also going to help you heal. And it's very good for digestion. So if you're eating bad foods, it'll clear out the system pretty quick. That's
all right. Let's review. Go back to A and go all the way through I.
Okay. So review. So A for apple cider vinegar, as well as avocado. B for berries. C for chia seeds. D for date palm sugar. E for eggs. F for fatty fish. G for Greek yogurt. I was doing my ABCs in my head. G for Greek yogurt / H for garlic and honey. I for iceberg lettuce, green leafy vegetables. Now, J is going to be no juice. Do not drink juice, especially those that are processed in the store. If you're going to do juice, make your own, get your own oranges and squeeze them out and put them in water and drink it yourself. That's your high vitamin C. We already know they have glyphosates in them. The pesticides, everything like that, it'll kill you. And it's full of sugar. There is no nutritive value in getting juice that's processed outside. So no juice.
We might as well teach you. You ever see the term juice from concentrate on any of your stuff? Concentrate means they added sugar to it. I learned this somewhere, actually. Do you know I had a friend of mine that I grew up with in South Carolina who became eventually a general manager of a Dole pineapple plantation and factory.
Mm-hmm.
And one day we're on a boat just hanging out like 20 years ago on a lake in South Carolina. And I asked him about his job. And I said, hey, I have a question. Is it true? I've heard a rumor that Dole and other juice companies that make juices and concentrated juices. I asked him a question. I said, now you are the general manager of a pineapple plantation for Dole in making juices. I said, is it true that the reason why juice companies, I have read and heard in different documentaries and books, that they concentrate specific juices, and those fruits they decide to concentrate are the ones they pick off the ground that fell off the trees and are bruised and rancid. Are those the ones they process into concentrate forms of juices? And he looks at me on the boat and he goes, I said, are they covering up all the rancidity of the fruit juices and the fruits with sugar and calling it from concentrate? And he looks at me, and this is what he said, Dr. Nanda. He said, well, if you owned a plantation of fruit or orchards of fruits, which ones would you turn into concentrated juices?
Wow.
Would you pick? This is exactly what I said. Would you pick off the trees or the bushes,
which has the best fruit,
the most beautiful fruits to sell to grocery stores to put on their shelves? Would you choose those to crush, squeeze into juice and add sugar? Or would you pick the ones on the ground and find a way to cover up its rancidity?
Oh my God. They're doling out.
God,
they're doling it out. D-O-L-E. Dole.
Concentrate means they add sugar to cover up their poison, nasty, rancid fruits.
They're doling out the low-hanging fruit.
Exactly right. So when you see concentrate, don't do it. That is sugar added to cover up its rancidity.
Exactly. Make it yourself. Just squeeze it out yourself. If you're arthritic, get a juicer.
There you go.
Jack LaLanne juicer, right?
Amen.
I don't know. Anyway. H-I-J, K. K for kale, another dark green leafy vegetable, also good for the eyes. It will help actually the production. So if anybody in family who has macular degeneration, another topic, but that's in the back of the eye, the center part, the seeing part of the eye, kale actually helps, and it helps with the lutein production, which is deficient in those patients. L for lemons and limes and anything that will have high vitamin C. So lemons and limes will also increase the vitamin C in the body. And those patients who are diabetic actually have lower amounts of vitamin C. And this is why they call them tumorigenic, because diabetes actually goes hand in hand with cancer. Why does that happen? Because there's increased sugar in the body, and cancer loves sugar. What happens to your gut when your gut bacteria really taste that sugar? Just one, you have cravings, right? So all of a sudden the gut bacteria in the body are like, they went to Halloween candy and they're like, ooh, I like that. And then all of a sudden the next 3 days, you just want sugar, 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 because the gut bacteria who likes the sugar grows exponentially. So you've got to quash it. So taking apple cider vinegar will quash that immediately. So if you have that sugar craving, don't go to that, go to a fermented food. Even kimchi, that would be for K as well. Kimchi is it's fermented cabbage. I love kimchi. All right, L. So M is for mackerel, or another fatty fish. And this is also very good for you.
Holy mackerel.
That's what I was going to beat me to the punch, which you always do because you were just, great minds think alike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
We are twins. Actually.
Let's see. Only our mother could tell us apart. Anyway. All right.
See how similar?
And this brings us to nuts. And for nuts, okay, specifically almonds. Now, guess what? Almonds are also high in choline, so it will protect you from viral snake protein.
Yeah.
Just saying. So almonds are very good. And anybody who has these kind of like, oh, I always overeat. Okay, why do you always overeat? Because you see food, seafood diet, you see food, you eat it, right? So instead of seafood, like being seafood. So what you can do, again, lucky number 7, because we all know 7 is complete. You can take 7 almonds, only 7. Don't want any more than that because it produces too much heat in the body. Again, Ayurvedic. You want to take 7 almonds before you eat your meal. This will give the body enough time to get the insulin out to process the food. So by the time you are going to eat, you don't feel the need to eat so much. So it slows that down. And that helps because it also has a protein. So nuts. Another is walnuts. Walnuts are great for you. Now, if you do cashews, you have to do less. It's like 5 cashews because it's a little bit too much fat. And same with macadamia nuts. If you do that, you can only have 3. Same with Brazil nuts. You can only have 3. You can't have more than that because the body doesn't want it. You'll actually get diarrhea if you have too much. Just to let you know.
All right. So just so you know, you're down to 1 minute.
All right. So O for olive oil. Olive oil is your medicine. If you want to take a medicine, this actually stimulates the GLP hormone, which is the one that the Ozempics and all the other poisons that are out there.
Gila monster deficiency, right?
Gila monster deficiency. So instead of taking Ozempic, which stimulates the same GLP-1 hormone, you can take 2 teaspoons of olive oil every day, and that's going to protect you. P for pomegranate, because pomegranate's antioxidant has the anthocyanins. Q for quinoa, because quinoa is just like the chia seeds for fiber. R for radish, because it has that bitter taste to it, so it's good for you. T for tea. U for unsweetened dark chocolate, because dark chocolate is good for you, but only in small amounts. V for vegetables. Everybody has to have their vegetables, especially cruciferous vegetables, because they look like the cross, crucifix. So any food that looks like the cross, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, all those cruciferous vegetables. Drink your water, W. Exercise, and get your Z's. Thanks.
You actually did have all Z. You had all A through Z. Okay, good.
All the way driving over here.
That was phenomenal. That was really wonderful. All right. So in the last minute, I want you to do something. I want you to explain to the audiences, when patients come to you and they have diabetes and diabetic retinopathy, you determine, is there something that people are typically taking for diabetes they've been prescribed? And then I want you to just talk real quickly about those medications that are being prescribed, if any. Is there diabetes or diabetic retinopathy being caused by those prescription drug deficiencies? Because out of your A through Z recommendations for food, I didn't hear a single thing about a drug being named as one of the A through Z alphabet requirements for diabetes.
Actually, it's funny that you say that, because the first thing I write on a prescription pad, literally, I write it on every prescription pad when I find out a patient has diabetes. And they said, get a dog. What does this mean? I said, go get a dog, because then you'll get off your butt and walk that dog. Amen. So that's what I tell a patient to do. Get off all the medications, because these why are they on them for their lifetime? If it's actually fixing the problem, then they would be off of it after 6 months or 3 months or
Preach
whatever.
on, preacher.
Anyway, yeah, sister, preach. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, yes, does it cause even worse? I believe that Ozempic and all these other drugs might be actually causing more problems with the patient. And a new drug that just got approved this last week, tirzepatide or whatever it is, it's in the same family. And there are about 3 more of that same family drugs that are coming out.
Well, now that you brought it up, have you not seen that Ozempic, Wegovy, and these GLP-1 targeting drugs made from Gila monster venom? Every single one of them states that diabetic retinopathy is worse, increasing the speed of blindness in people with diabetes. And these are drugs being promoted for diabetes. So just know.
Well, because they're losing their weight. They're losing weight.
Warnings for side effects.
Yeah, they're losing their weight. So they feel all excited about that, but they're not understanding the side effects of the effect of the drug. So it's very dangerous.
All right, Dr. Seema Nanda, we got to wrap up this episode. Now I need you to tell the audiences where they're going to find you.
All right. So thank you again, Dr. Brian, artist, for allowing me to come into your living room and share my few words of wisdom and getting people to see to the right and making sure everybody knows what to do. So I am out of Houston, Texas at the Nanda Dry Eye and Vision Institute, which I started during the pandemic. Yes, you heard it, pandemic. And it is starting to flourish thanks to people like Dr. Brian and all the other doctors out there who are trying to get the message to everyone. So I'm in Houston, Texas. Just Google me at www.docnanda.com. And I look forward to seeing you.
Love it. Now I want you to say one thing. I'm going to ask you a question on behalf of everybody watching. Yes. Is there a scenario with people's vision whatsoever that you would say you should not seek my help for?
The only problem is when I fix you, I never get to see you again.
Amen to that. So if you're sitting there wondering, I wonder if she could help me.
I probably can. And if I can't, I'll find somebody who can. But if there's a way, I'll find it.
In Dr. Seema Nanda, I trust. All right. I'm Dr. Artist. This is the Dr. Artist Show. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. No, tally ho. It was lovely meeting you all again.
All right. We're out. That was too much fun. All right. God bless you all. We'll see you next week.